The views expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect those of this station.
Welcome to Insights into Northeast Michigan, a WBKB News public affairs program. Insights deals with the issues affecting those in the community, as well as Northeast Michigan and the state. And now, Insights into Northeast Michigan.
Welcome everyone to this edition of Insights. Today we'll be taking a deeper look into what would happen if the store Meijer's came here to Alpena. And here joining me is Marie Twite, who is the Township Supervisor. Thank you for joining me today, Marie.
Thank you for asking me.
Definitely. And so there has been a lot of talks about Meijer's coming to Alpena. What has been your role in the whole process?
Well, as the supervisor, I get to meet with the landholder and tell him what he needs to do in order to go through the process. Mm-hmm. And the first thing I usually do is send him to our building department.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so we've been talking, because actually APS owns the land right now, and we've been talking about contract negotiations and all of that. Where are we in the process right now?
Well, actually, that parcel is a little bit over 20 acres, and there's multiple landholders in it. Mm-hmm. And what happens is they do a contract with those folks, and we have no part of that. Okay. What does happen is we look at what can happen on that land. Mm-hmm. And that's what our role is to say whether the type of business they're doing or want to do is the type of business that can go on that land.
Mm-hmm. And in talks, you guys have decided that that is a business that would be appropriate for that land use?
Right, but the property owner still has to go through our processes at the township.
Mm-hmm. And what are those processes like?
Well, they have to come in and apply for site plan approval, and what that means is we have a board that will look at that and we'll tell them whether they meet all the criteria, and to make sure that there's good ingresses, egresses, mm-hmm. that we have drainage issues that are addressed. Any kind of issues that we can think of, mm-hmm. we try to address those during this process.
Mm-hmm. And has that process already taken place with this case?
No. What happens is next Monday, mm-hmm. they will go before our planning commission, and our planning commission will look at all of this whole entire site plan. Now we already have gone through it with a fine-tooth comb, mm-hmm. our building inspector and myself, mm-hmm. and our water department, to make sure that they meet the needs that we have. And it looks really good. Our planning commission gets to put another set of eyes in there to see if we've missed anything.
Right, right. And if the store was to come here to Alpena, what kind of impact do you foresee it having on the community?
Well, I see a good positive impact because of the fact that we have a lot of homes that are empty. We don't have enough jobs here. This store is supposed to have between 220 to 250 jobs, and that tells me that it will take up a lot of our housing market that has been down the tube, kind of, mm-hmm. so to speak, that we've had a lot of people move out. I believe we'll have a lot of people move back. Mm-hmm. We will also will use a lot of our product that we have here, like our water and sewer system. Mm-hmm. The rates go up when there's less people to utilize that, and so I believe that what will happen, that we will have more users, that we might not see the increases that we were anticipating.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So something that would be pretty beneficial for the Alpena community.
I believe that it will. Mm-hmm. Is there other types of business that could come in that would enhance it in a different way? Probably. Mm-hmm. But this store with it, well, I'm assuming, We'll bring in other stores. We've already seen the AutoZone develop.
Right.
And we have talked with developers that have asked us to put in a roadway, or at least accept the land for the roadway, with the hopes that more businesses will come in that same neighborhood.
And that brings me to my other question, actually. With having a store like Meijer come in here to Alpena, how is that different from maybe our other super stores that we have here?
Well, I don't know that it's going to be so much different, except that it will give people an opportunity to shop at different stores. People like choices, and I believe that Meijers will bring a different choice for people in our community. And with more people coming here, it will be better able to serve the people in the community.
Right. And then also with that being that it would be one of the only ones in our close radius, it would also be bringing people from other communities here to Alpena.
Exactly, and if we were to have this store go to a different community, a neighboring community, that I believe would have a more detrimental impact on the Alpena area. That our people now travel across state to go to a Meijer store. They will stay here, and I believe it will bring in surrounding county, that they would bring those folks here to our community. And when they're here, not only will they shop, they will visit other things. They will go to our theaters, they will go to our restaurants, they will look at our downtown area and make sure that they get to see everything. They'll go to the water sites that we have, the walkways, the new walkways that are all over, and I just think that it will be a benefit to our community.
Okay, great, fantastic. Well, when we come back from the break, we'll talk more about the pros and cons of having a Meijer store here in Alpena. Welcome back, everybody, from the break. I'm speaking with Marie Twite from Alpena Township, and we're talking about what would happen if a Meijer store came here to Alpena. And we talked a lot previously before the break about pros that would happen. And now I kind of want to talk about the cons. But before we hit that, how long has this process been going on with the talks of a Meijer store coming here?
Well, I'm sure that Meijers has been into our offices looking for land areas and opportunities for them to acquire land. And we actually have sat down with them and told them what our process was, probably 6 or maybe 8 months ago. But we really don't talk about it to other, to the press or anything until they actually apply with us, because we have a lot of developers that come in and things never they don't pan out. So we always try to wait until they give us an application. And we received the Meijers application on April the 19th, probably about 3 o'clock. It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and they had until 5 o'clock in order to meet the September meeting. And they made it in just under the deadline. And so then we believe that it's a go from that point on. So we will meet with them on the 9th of September and look at their entire site plan and see how that goes.
Okay, and if everything is approved, from Meijer's standpoint, when do they plan to come here to Alpena?
Well, what will happen is if we approve it on the 9th, then what they will do is, when we had met with them earlier, they had talked about wanting to have a site plan approval for this fall, which that's where we're at. And then they would break ground in the spring of the year in 2014. And usually it's pretty hard to break ground here until April or May, sometimes June, but we'll see how we work.
Weather permitting.
Weather permitting. And then they're hoping to open on April, I told them 2015. Nice,
nice.
So in April, though, of 2015 is their target date for opening.
Right, okay. And I know there's been a lot of talks about pros and cons with having the store come here. What are some cons that...
Well, I think that when a new store opens up, it always has impacts on the businesses that are here. And I had conversation when we had another store that opened, and I explained to those business owners, the local business owners, you know, in my mind, if they have a good service and they are polite and kind to people, they go to their store, and that does happen here. Those businesses are still thriving, and they thought they were going to go under. Now what they did is they diversified their own marketplace and made it better, so they will have to meet the challenge of the competition again.
Right.
And sometimes that's good for everyone, sometimes it's not. We're hoping for the best that everybody will still go to those stores because they're in love with them, and that's the way it works.
And also the stores in the community, the mom and pop shops, they kind of have a different
niche. They have a different niche in the market.
Right.
And so and I think that you're seeing that more and more, that there's a different niche going on for folks, and I think that will continue. So I think it'll be a win-win and not a con so much.
Fantastic.
Yes.
And with this store coming in its location, is there any cons foreseeable for traffic?
What we did is we worked with the City of Alpena, MDOT, and the Road Commission, and we have had a group of people that believe now that the Myers have come in, that other businesses will follow, and of course people that own property in that neighborhood is looking on how can they better market their own parcels. And so we've had a road committee meeting, an intergovernmental road committee meeting, and we have looked at how can we better function for traffic in that neighborhood. Right now, the way our system is, it really is able to manage the Meijer traffic. I believe with more additional stores that it will impact a lot tougher, and I think that with having that added roadway, that will help a lot. I think that any place that there's businesses, you need the cars there in order to be able to have business.
Right.
If there's no cars there, if you're trying to get rid of the cars, then nobody will be in the store.
Right.
So, you know, you have to get used to the traffic. If you look at bigger communities, they have a lot wider a lot wider roadways than what we have, and so we're still, I believe that we still have opportunities to grow, and I think with the different kind of road system, which we've planned for years, and I hope that now with this new additional roadway that's been proposed, that it will take care of those issues.
Right, and speaking about that additional roadway, so there would be 2 different entrances to this store.
Well, to that store, but that's without any other roadways. The roadway that we're looking at right now is to put something behind where the Walmart store is, actually just south of the WBKB station, and also down the end of 3rd, and have that access opened up. I think that the Road Commission has looked at that for years, and the traffic doesn't really warrant it yet, but as the traffic continues to warrant more roadways, that we will put those in.
Okay, fantastic. And right now, do you guys foresee any other businesses coming here to Alpena?
We haven't had any applications, but we have a developer, and I also know that there was a scout that was in town last week. So I'm anticipating that we will see development. The big issue for us is we need to manage that growth.
Absolutely.
And I've been in favor of that ever since I was first elected, so I still am very interested in managing it, making sure that traffic's able to flow.
Great. And of course, with new growth comes new opportunity, and definitely a way to keep developing the economy here locally.
Yes. And that's what we need to do, because we have seen a major decline in our population for all of our entire county, and I think it's important to try to bring people back into our community to make us viable.
Great. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining me here today, Marie.
Thank you.
Well, when we come back from the break, we'll talk more in depth about how the new addition would affect traffic. Welcome back, everybody. City Engineer for Alpena, Rich Solinger, is now joining me. Thank you for joining me, Rich.
Thank you for having me.
Definitely. And so if a Meijer store were to come here to Alpena, how do you foresee it affecting traffic?
Well, I think with any type of development that comes into a community, there's always an impact on the traffic. It's just a matter of trying to control it to minimize the impact of the existing traffic. To that end, the developers did hire a traffic consultant to go through the analysis on the impacts from a Meijer store coming in, and looked at a number of scenarios. We met with them, we had discussions with them on where we suspected there may be some negative impacts on the existing traffic pattern. They went back, analyzed, looked at them, and provided a report on those impacts to the city. I shouldn't say to the city, to all the parties. You know, and it's not just the city. I mean, this development is in Alpena Township. It is going to have access on M32, which is a Michigan Department of Transportation road under their jurisdiction. And it will have an access onto Bagley Street, which is a border street between the city and Alpena Township, but it is under the jurisdiction of the city. And that's where we get involved. But we did ask them to look at a number of intersections, including Bagley and M32, 3rd Avenue and Bagley, and as far down as Bagley and Grant Street, as far as what types of impacts, traffic increases we may see on those. And they did that and came back with their findings.
And just looking at that from a preliminary standpoint, what kind of impacts did you guys see that could potentially occur?
There's going to be, let's face it, there's going to be an impact on all the traffic. And what they really look at is it going to cause a severe problem? Right. Anytime 3 more cars go down the road, there's additional traffic impact. So we are anticipating that there's going to be additional traffic on these roads. The impacts were, in their calculations and their estimations, fairly minimal. There would be some additional delays at traffic signals. There would be some additional turning movements at various intersections, which will slow down the traffic and create some delays. You know, we were really concerned from the city standpoint on the impacts on Bagley Street, and that's where we focused our attention. The other players in the program, Michigan Department of Transportation, had their concerns with access onto M32, and the Alpena County Road Commission also, because the other side of M32, Bagley Street, north of M32 is a Alpena County Road Commission road. So they expressed their concerns, and we had discussions on it.
And in discussing with all the parties involved, do you guys foresee any new traffic, maybe lights or stop signs implementing on those roads involved?
Not on the city streets.
Okay.
I know that in the letter that was issued by the Michigan Department of Transportation back to Meijers, that once the store was opened, they would, after 6 months of it being in operation, evaluate any potential needs for a traffic signal at the access point of Meijers Drive onto M32. And especially a big concern is that it's going to basically line up across from the easterlymost Walmart Drive.
Right.
And that potential for cross traffic, people trying to go all the way across to commute between stores is a concern, along with the turning movement. So that is something that the Michigan Department of Transportation has indicated they would look at.
And with increased traffic, again, on both roads that are involved, do you foresee any traffic accidents increased?
Well, I think that by the nature of having more cars out there, the potential for more accidents is prevalent. The one thing, and maybe it's one thing that people don't realize, when you put a traffic signal in, your traffic accidents are going to increase. Typically they're more minor accidents, fender benders, rear ends, but you don't have the severe accidents. And that's really what a traffic signal is geared towards, is to eliminating the catastrophic accidents.
And again, with talking in with all the parties that are involved, you guys say that you have a perspective that it'll probably be a minimum impact when the store comes in so far?
It's perspective.
Right.
If you're driving down the road and you get hung up in a delay, it's going to be a major inconvenience. But overall, even during the peak hours that they analyzed, there would be some additional delays, but it wasn't going to be to the point where you were sitting through 4 or 5 lights, basically a failure mode.
Right.
You know, from the city's perspective, the biggest concern was the access onto Bagley Street and the location that they have proposed for it. Basically, that access is going to be immediately behind the Walgreens store. We expressed concern over it being that close to the light at Bagley and M32, and I know that Myers did work with property owners to the south to try to gain some type of an access further south. That was not successful.
Okay.
But I know that they did explore that.
So still exploring options, and we'll see what happens down the road then.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
And that'll do it for this edition of Insights. You can catch us back here next Sunday. Have a good one.
Insights into Northeast Michigan is produced by WBKB News. If you have any comments, suggestions, or topics you would like to see on a future show, please email WBKB News. This has been a production of Thunder Bay Broadcasting Corporation. All rights reserved.